Good afternoon and welcome to UMedTV. My name is Kamal Erkan. I am here with Sean Donovan. Sean, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Kamal. How are you?
Good. So today is our last episodes for the year 2023. So this year was a lot more productive for us than the year before, as we are getting better at what we are doing and trying to cover these topics in different ways. In terms of looking at the year in review, what we have done this year is we added new topics, but one of the, I think, maybe main highlights for us was our political series, which we had about 14 guests. Now, we were hoping that Lisa Rochester could have made it before the end of the 2023, but I think that's going to happen in the first month of 2024 because she's an acting congresswoman already. So then it's difficult to get them on our set schedule. So, but I'm sure she'll be here. We are also in touch with a couple of the other people which we'll cover later on. The other thing is that today we won't have the Bariatric Friday with Dr. Ergal. The reason we are actually waiting until next year is because we were on the second, we were on the news cycle. Yeah. So in terms of seeing all the new subscribers, we are now over 25,000, close to 3 million hours of view, I believe, or 3 million views. The channel probably is one of the most influential channel in Delaware. So I see some magazines, some business magazines are naming people for the name of the influence or who have the most influence. But I think we have the most one. We don't need to be named. So because we have the channel, we have the 25,000 subscribers. So we'll be continue to be the voice of our providers, our physicians, and our community. So we are going to cover different topics today. First, we have many people probably already read this. Christiana Care just settled on a $47 million settlements for kickback related issues from. This is the settlement is for in exchange for unearned billings. The physician reported to continue to funnel patients to Christiana Hospital. So many people who may know this or not, but one of the biggest issues that we have in healthcare is stark and anti-kickback related issues, and many of the, again, if you're not in the healthcare professionally, you may not even know what these are and how these are applied. So this is not the first time Christiana Hospital is in trouble. So there were, the one before this one was, I think it was 3.3 million.
For 2010, I think.
That was related to one cardiology group. And they actually did directly block technical times for the cardiologists. So then they guaranteed certain amount of slots for each patient slots. So then even if they didn't have any patients, they still have full payments for each day. So I'm going to just kind of explain this in a different way. So group of cardiology, which was not our practices, not one of our people, well, actually it's public is cardiology consultants, which was taken over by Christiana later on anyway. So their providers were told that they can have block time for their studies that they do, echo, new type of cardiology studies. And then they could be guaranteed for the full schedule. But then there were, if you have 10 people scheduled, and if you have only 2 people showing up every time, then you are paying more. So just the availability. So they got in trouble. This was in the 2003, 4, 5, 6 timeframe. So now this came out. Now we have a couple of issues with what just came out, because one of the issues that I have with this one is the time frame that this is covering. And based on what I'm understanding is this is from sometime prior to 2010. But I know personally that this issue was still continued on in the year 2016. So you may remember we discussed this before. What we discussed was I was actually showing you some of our correspondence with Christiana Hospital when I was in charge of surgeons for emergency care. This was an on-call surgical group contracted with Christiana. And we also have a bariatric practice with Christiana. And one of our issues was the way that availability of the PAs who were helping and which specialty or which practice or which physician, which surgeon, it was kind of like hit and miss. So, and we were not getting enough attention from that point. So they were providing more support with the hospital resources to a private group. So this private group didn't go to St. Francis Hospital. So that means that in exchange of what they are getting, they are actually being subsidized with more help. Now, the issue is by providing these unlimited support, then they are making it so much more functional, I guess, at no cost for the surgical group. And then those surgical groups don't have any other agreements with other hospitals. Now, in one of our discussions with either Bethany Hall or maybe before her, who was...
I think this may have come up when we were talking with Insurance Commissioner Navarro.
With St. Francis, like why we have to support St. Francis, right? So this was one of the things is if St. Francis doesn't have the same resources, and then the big hospital is able to provide these to make things much easier. This is a nonprofit organization. Of course, then that surgical group will only go to that place. So this is kind of like in return of the referrals, they are making resources available. But again, I just want to kind of highlight, and then if our insurance, the auditor and the AG's office, Attorney General's office is listening, this issue wasn't only for 2010. This was also happening until I know 2016. So no, once I read about the how much the whistleblower got, I'm like, well, we have some stuff here. Maybe they will give us something too. But the issue that we have with who's getting how many physician assistant as a surgical assistant from Christiana, and how these are being given to some of the other groups more than, like, it wasn't just evenly divided out. And yeah, I'm not going to mention the physician here, but one of them is like this is from the chairman Department of Surgery, the person who's sending this email, and then the email also another email that's giving the first-hand information is the OR manager of Christiana Hospital, and these emails are July 2017. So we were being delayed with surgeries because they didn't have the same number of people, and then they were giving 2 physicians assistant to someone versus 0 to someone else. So I don't know why this is only limited for this time frame. But what we have to look at, the other thing that we need to look at, and I don't know if Christiana is going to be out of this trouble yet, but the consent form is the same issue, and you actually remind me this yesterday, the overlapping surgeries, right? So, and also how residents can actually do surgeries without the patient's consent. So in 2017, they updated the consent form. So the update includes 2 different things here. So this is from my emails. And it says, one is resident staff, like that's added, like the resident, surgical resident can do surgeries on you, okay? And the other big part that's added is, if applicable, patient is saying, I have been informed that my attending physician will be physically present during the key and critical portion of the procedures, blah, blah, blah. So saying that
They're not gonna be there the whole time.
they may be there in a different OR while someone else is doing yours. And this is updated in 2017. So the issue, if this is a $47 million or 40,
Yeah, 47.
$47 million issue, then there's more there. And I knew something was coming out because this was settled, apparently. The terms were settled but not finalized last year. And last year, if you remember, they lost their chief operating officer, Dr. Silverstein, and one of the other key member of their leadership. Now, my issue is this. In the last 3 years, do you know or do we know how much funding Christiana Hospital received from federal and state governments?
Probably a lot.
A lot. So provider relief and other funding in 2021 was 105 million. And in 2022, it's 90 million. This report didn't have the 2020. There should be some more. Now, again, between the 2 years, it's 125 million. So like 47 million, pretty much government is taking from one pocket and putting in the other pocket, or Christian is taking from one pocket and putting in the other pocket because they receive 125 million in 2 years anyway.
Right. Yeah, that's nothing for them.
So that's not going to impact them. Now, let's remember the size of Christiana Hospital. This is a giant, right? So we, of course, we want strong, big, powerful, efficient hospital systems in Delaware. But not the monopoly, because the monopoly is extremely dangerous for everyone, especially for patients. So, and Christiana is known for their bad practices in terms of their attitude towards private practices. And they took over so many private practices in the last maybe 5, 6, 7 years, and they continue to do that, which is going to impact all of us because it's increasing the cost of care. Because every time someone goes to the hospital, that number of care, like the cost of care, is increased by 4 to 6 times of the actual cost. So now, because of that, this is important. But this 47 million should be a good warning for everyone out there. So this is one of our fights in the healthcare system. So for them, after they pay 47 million, they will still be fine because they're benefiting extremely good in all these. So our issue is what else is happening that's not being covered. So this is based on the whistleblower that came from Christiana, who knew all these. Well, we have some more stuff. I think the investigation shouldn't stop. So AG's office is welcome to reach out to me, and then I will share everything that I have because we were almost taken over by Christiana on our bariatric program. So, and we lost from United Medical, we lost at least 3 or 4 different surgical groups to Christiana because they employ these physicians, and then it was, impacting our businesses directly. So, Attorney General is welcome to reach out, or her office is able to do that if they wish. They would like to talk to us.
Yeah, and just, I mean, obviously, I'm not as familiar with the history of it as you are, being in the business that long, but just in general, I think whenever you see things like this, if one thing is a little like fishy or not happening the way it should be, there's bound to be at least 1 or 2 others. It's not just a one-time incident of, oh, we didn't know this was happening. Like, there's probably other corners that are being touched or other, not proper procedures happening in one realm or another.
One other thing that I will mention, during this time, our bariatric practice employed a surgical assistant. Our surgical assistant was following us everywhere, but the other private practice didn't have to do that.
Yeah,
So I was just like going through the emails, like they're saying that why don't you use your own surgical assistant, because I have to give 2 or 3 PAs to someone else. So this is just so messed up.
It's not complicated.
Yeah. So all right.
Our next topic here is regarding the ballot politics, because we have our political series happening, and in the news recently, we've seen a couple states are trying to remove Trump from being on the ballot. and there is pushback and kind of going back and forth on whether or not it can actually happen. I think it's based on they're trying to claim the January riots that by instilling a riot. I guess there's a clause back from like the kind of like the Confederates, where you can't then run for an office if you were.
Well, I mean, what was interesting, and I want to hear what you have to say on this. So when I read this, and I don't know how many times I have to say this, but I'm not a Trump supporter, and I don't have to convince anyone that's the case. This is what my opinion. I am not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Biden supporter in this case at this point either. But I have the same distance to vote. So now that's on the table, right? So here's the thing: when you try to utilize the system to push someone out, and you can't really do that, right? But you are trying to do it, and you did this happened in Colorado, and now it's reversed. Mm-hmm. The day before Colorado reversed that, or 2 days before, Maine had the same decision. That means they're going to end up reversing that. That's just making Trump stronger, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't it? Because now everything, like system is going against him, and he's an underdog, and we do like the underdog. So I almost wonder if Trump is doing all this so that he's getting all the credit, because this is not going to look good for the Democrats, because you can't use the political power. But when you saw this news, what was your first reaction?
So again, not surprised, because if you remember, I'm sure obviously you remember, but others out there, they remember our other series, the fact of them trying to charge Trump on the other accounts back then, just so having convictions on him would then prevent him again from rerunning for other office. So it seems like the opponents are trying at any means necessary. And is that because they're afraid that he actually may win? Because if this is a candidate, that might get 8% of the vote or something, I don't think they'd be going to this type of length that, hey, we need to get them off the ballot entirely. Like, they wouldn't even be concerned. But I think they do see it as like a legitimate threat of, yes, he could win, so we need to, whatever means necessary, help so he wouldn't eventually win. But
did you, I think maybe what I was asking is, when you saw this, did you think that this was the end for Trump? Or no. did you think that, well, this is going to help him?
No, I mean, I didn't think it would end up actually staying through, because I know if you looked, also Michigan was one of the states that tried doing that, and they said no. And I think also interesting enough is, I think it was Texas, where they're saying, well, if you're going to remove one candidate, then we can say the same thing, but not Trump. They can say, oh, we could remove Biden from the initial.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't think you want to get into that type of game where you have states picking who you can and can't vote for. So I didn't see it as actually withstanding a permanent thing. Like, oh yeah, he would always. I had a feeling it would be, redacted or reversed.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. Now, speaking of who may be the next president, we started this survey, I believe, last week, maybe 10 days ago. December 18th.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I put those 4 people, thinking that the first 2 are the people who are definitely going to be the front runners. And the other 2, I think Kennedy is running as an independent, or?
Yeah, he was.
Right?
Yeah, I think he.
And Vivek is the kind of like the
Republican.
Like the upcoming, maybe, or the person who's getting the most attention these days. So that's why I put those 2. But then the number is very interesting. So this is 56.3% of the people says these people believe that Trump would be the winner. Now, I don't have a specific audience in Twitter. We did promote this survey only in the United States, and it's not just for Delaware either. So it's like the entire country. So when I see this, you probably saw some of the comments. They think that I'm the Trump supporter, so that's why I'm running this, and then I have a specific audience. But then do we have the one from the world statistic? If you don't, I have the number. So I saw, yeah, there it is. So then we see this, and there's about on the first one, 52,000. This is from the same people. The second time is 72,000. The number actually is even, the gap is even bigger. So the Trump is at 79% versus Biden's at 21%. Now they give two options. We did four, but I think ours is more level than this one. But this is after our survey, and then that's pretty interesting. Now, we know that Twitter is not the best place to run these types of things because maybe people are more opinionated, or maybe they are, I don't know, like we don't, well, prior to Elon Musk, 99% of the Twitter employees were Democrats.
Mhm.
I don't know if that changed. I know he didn't hire more people, he did let people go,
Downside.
but that probably didn't change much. So that's a pretty big indicator of dissatisfaction for what we are going through today.
Mhm.
So what was your take on this?
Yeah. I wouldn't say I was surprised. I think, like, if you notice this one, as you mentioned, it only had the two candidates. So between having only two options, I think when you're looking at Joe Biden as a candidate and you see what's happened in his presidency so far, and I think a lot of people are feeling those effects more so compared to, I mean, it depends, like I said, who is looking at these surveys. Are they as informed of a voter? Are they actually looking at numbers? But if you look at statistics on, like your economy numbers and job employment, from Trump's presidency to Joe Biden's presidency, that might impact you on what you're going to vote on this more so. But even just without having followed politics, but like you could be, oblivious to what's going on there, but if you just see the day-to-day impact of like the inflation, you don't have to be following politics to notice that the gas price is up $1.50 or whatever. Like you don't have to be following politics to necessarily hear the news about our foreign policy with the aid given to Ukraine. Like you don't have to be absorbed in it. Like you're going to hear about it regardless. So I think just people knowing what's going on in the current presidency is probably just, they're not satisfied with it. So if you're not satisfied, you want to change.
Yeah, I mean, we still need to take it with precaution. So, like, it's, I mean, I know I don't have a specific audience under my account, but even that is very strong, suggesting that people are not happy. I mean, I'm not saying that this person versus that person, but one thing that is saying clearly that people are not happy with the current situation. So I think that they look for different options, or they are hoping to see different options.
And with that, I mean, I don't think it's surprising. It's not like, oh, things are at all time, like the golden era, like this is the best it's ever been, where you can say, why are these, like, this is so surprising. Like, I don't think it's necessarily a surprising result if you look at, I mean, what we talked about with interest rates, inflation, everything. So, we did have a couple other Twitter polls that you did have out there. So
let's bring them up. What is this one? Okay. I did this one for you actually. So since I did it for you, go ahead and read it.
Yeah, so this is where we talk about the electric vehicles, EVs, how sustainable, how realistic, is it feasible? So the poll here was the shift towards EVs is gaining momentum, but opinions vary widely. Are EVs truly the future of transportation, or are they overhyped? And the winning vote on this one was that people hate electric vehicles, closely followed by overrated, and then third place was that they are in fact the future. I think again, just from sustainability, like,
so you probably like this, these results, right? So that's probably your answer too.
I'm personally not a fan. I don't think it's feasible to have a power grid that everybody's relying on, be charging. I know in some of the metropolitan areas, lines to even charge an EV are like hours upon hours to wait in line. That's to then get to the charging portal. I know you can have them at your home. I've seen people in the neighborhood that have different electric vehicles charging their driveway. But I don't think, I know, like I said, some of the states are implementing laws that say that the manufacturers have to have a certain percentage of their vehicles be electric or at least hybrid, not solely a gas powered engine, but I don't think it'll actually force people.
Why do we have to have like one, one and one only? Like, why can't we have a mix, like a well-balanced mix of
some electric,
some
gas?
electric, yeah.
Yeah.
And if people like the electric cars, they should be getting it, but forcing it is, I don't know if that's ever going to work. And then every time something is being forced like this, I know someone is benefiting really highly on
Right,
it.
it's a beast.
I don't know who, but definitely not us.
Yeah.
Right.
Private
So,
stockholder.
I mean, if I don't want to have one, I don't want to be forced to buy one. Now, I may have one in the near future, like maybe like as a second car, but I'm not dying for it.
Yeah.
So I'm not so happy about it. But I can try, but I don't want to be forced to just have the EV.
I don't think people like being told what they have to do.
Well, this is by
from the
2030. It's going to be like they're asking everyone to switch. The factories are kind of already set to switch their manufacturing goals, or the way that they're going to produce these is going to be on the EV. So they're closing some of those already.
Yeah.
So I mean, well, let's see. Let's see what's going to happen. So
we'll see. And like you said, I mean, being forced, can everyone even afford a new electric car? Do they have to be forced to buy an old used one, or is it they're going to run their gas powered one to the ground because they can't afford so? I think there's a lot to be considered in the future.
I mean, I see like a cyber truck in my driveway sometime in the next 2 years, but we'll see.
There you go. One other one we had here, again, back to the political, but just the stance. I guess this kind of tied into the earlier discussion, but what is your stance on the policy regarding Israel? So the foreign affairs.
This is kind of this is new. This is not done yet, but we can actually start sharing. So what happened with this one? I'm going to give you a little bit background on this. We were talking this morning, but I don't know if I explained all of them. So with the surveys, we do promote them. And none of the others had any delay. But then this one just didn't pick up right away. So then it was under review, and it took more than 2 days to actually, it took almost 2 days to get an approval. And then I was trying to see what the reason was. And then I realized the word Israel didn't help. So this morning, because it was still not approved, and I post the same one because one of our people in one of our meetings said, because I was complaining about it, and then she said, well, why don't you just spell the Israel with the symbols and dots and blah, blah. So then I posted another one. As soon as I did that and start promoting, this got approved. So that means there is a big censor on what we are seeing, even under Elon Musk's leadership on Twitter. So it's not happening. Things are not happening. Like everything that you see, you have to question. And this is again, this was like one last reminder to me that, okay, regardless of this statement doesn't have any position. It doesn't say that you are supporting or you are not supporting. It's just asking what's your stance. So, and then I wasn't able to have this to reach out to more people. So then we would be able to get more than 856 votes. But still, we are looking at the result of this. And I think when we meet again next year, this will be done. And then I will actually see where people are and how people feel about this. Right now, let's look at the latest numbers. And I have it from 2 different sources. And I'm going to round up the numbers. About 21,000 people died, 21,000 people being killed in Gaza and West Bank since October 7th. And about 54,000 people were injured. Same time frame, about 1,150 people were killed in Israel, and about 6,200 people were injured. So if you look at the number of people who were killed, it's 1,150 versus 21,000. I don't think I need to say anything. So Twitter can block what we are saying. Government can block what we are saying. Even our, I was kind of disappointed with one of our, we have only one congresswoman, so I can't just say, I'm not going to give you the name, but even Lisa signed for the the bill that actually almost limits what you can say about Israel. We can get into that when she's with us next year. But I was surprised that why would you limit how I'm thinking? And then yeah, the Republican and Democrats, they were all it was supported by both parties. Only 13 people, 13 Congress men and women actually opposed to it. It was it's telling you how strong the Israel lobbyists are in this country. And for those who may not know the politics, it's all about how much money you are able to raise for every election. So if your money is coming from certain resources, then you are limited with what you can do and what you can't. So, but the way that we are looking at here, this result is limited one again. 44% of the people are saying that they're not supporting what we are doing in the US. So I think this number, once this 6-7 days is done on this survey, it's going to look a little bit more on the opposed side. But it's really interesting that people are not willing to speak up. And what they have done to the head of Harvard, what they have done to the head of UPenn, Yale, I believe the other one is now being attacked, and it's scary. So the reality is the numbers. Numbers are reality. So just this 2 months, 21,000 versus 1,150, and this war was not started by Palestinians, so it started by Israel. So now I have a lot of friends who have a Jewish background, and they actually agree with me. They agree with the issue, but they can't even say anything because they know that they are going to be criticized by their own people. So hopefully this can. The next year will be a better year.
I think it'd be interesting to see how much specific to this conflict is actually brought up if it's still ongoing in the 2024 elections during those initial debates. To see how much, like, I know foreign policy is always, rather.
You remember Nikki Haley when she said in the first her first reaction was wipe them out.
Yeah. So
like
I think as the debates go further into 2024. Like I said, this is still ongoing, or even other conflicts out there that aren't even being talked about. So, interesting to see the different candidates.
Yep.
I think we had one last one. Again, this was just overall how engaged people are. So, 60% saying that they're very engaged with the.
With that answer with 60%, I like because knowing our turnout on the elections, I didn't think that 60% of the people were very engaged. Right.
I would say
that number is higher than the turnout, isn't it?
Yeah, I was expecting more people to say somewhat engaged.
You're right. So
because it's almost hard to not be involved just by, hearing, word of mouth, just the news. It's almost you can't avoid it, but be very engaged. I don't know if people are actually on their own time researching.
Yeah, but again, this is Twitter. Twitter is a dumpster. So that's why we kind of like it, and sometimes we hate it. But it's not like, even if you just like take these numbers and adjust them by 20%, like increase, still I'm surprised with the very engaged one. So we are going to continue to do more surveys, and almost every week we'll have. And we are going to actually do the same thing on the Bariatric Friday side too.
Yeah, we talked about that.
So this will become part of our weekly discipline for 2024. I actually kind of like them, especially when they attack me personally. For whatever reason, I get personal pleasure from that. Well, just because I don't really care. So.
Yeah, our next topic, just moving into the political guests we've had so far. I did put together, it's just a quick compilation. It's the 4 slides of the ones that we did have so far. As we mentioned, multiple of these candidates will come back in 2024 as we get closer to the actual election. But we just want to do a quick recap.
So for the governor, we have Bethany Long and Matt Meyer for primaries. And I believe Bethany is going to win the primaries. She has the right experience for the position. Her background on healthcare, her background on education, and being in that position for the last 8 years, that actually, as a lieutenant governor, she has all the right elements for our being our next governor. So the lieutenant governor, we have Kyle Evans, Gay, and Sherry Dorsey. That may be a close one.
Yeah, I feel like they both have different strengths to bring to the table.
That may be a close one, but I think Kyle probably is going to get it. We have some plans, which is not kind of like definite yet, so I don't want to just share. But we may see her more often. Kyle Evans, maybe more often in our show, but we'll see once it's finalized. But the other big race is going to be for the Congress, and that is between Sarah McBride, Eugene Young, and Colleen Davis. So, and all these three people are really nice people. So, and I mean it when I say this, but I think Sarah has the right qualification, and this is the right time for her as well. Her experience, her commitment in politics. Even though she's young, she's been in politics for a long time. And her interest in community, I believe she's going to be taking that. But all three of those are wonderful people. So, and then they were all on our show, and the only person we weren't able to get, which was kind of our plan, and I'm going to blame her team. And well, they're young people, and I know they're watching. So then, if I'm not able to say it on the text message or on the phone, but I think Lisa Rochester's team needs to get their act together, because we had this confirmed event canceled 2 weeks ago, and we weren't able to just schedule it. Now, she is a busy congresswoman, and she has different responsibilities and appointments, and I know her schedule is packed. But I think this is why the team that we work with is extremely important. So they kind of make you either look good or look really bad. So I think they really need to kind of like work on their communication skills, because just because Delaware may be the blue state doesn't mean that it's guaranteed, because we did have Republican congressman just 10 years ago, and I think senator maybe.
Yeah.
So Mike Castle is what who I'm thinking. So it's not like just this is not these are not guaranteed positions. So if you don't have the right things, right people in place, you may actually lose. So, but we'll see. I think she's going to be with us somehow, but we don't know when. Because like when we had this beautiful plan. So she was going to be the last person for 2023. And when that doesn't happen, it looks bad. So, but anyway, we'll beat them up a little bit. So, and then we have the insurance commissioner. I missed that one. If you want to cover that.
Yeah, he was, Trinidad Navarro was able to join us, as well as Coyote Abagunde, who were both running for state insurance commissioner, which Trinidad has held it the past two terms. So, again, both seem like strong candidates. So it was relatively close, I think, in the prior election.
It wasn't too close, but it was surprisingly high for Coyote, because we were not expecting his to be that high. But yes, kind of like still not guaranteed for anyone.
Right.
But I think people are going to go for Trinidad. But maybe after him, turn that maybe Coyote can be the next one.
Mhm.
But he's also a very nice guy.
And then this is just quick slides on the future guests again. So we mentioned a little bit right there about Lisa potentially joining the future. We also had John Carney running for the mayor of Wilmington, our current governor. Then we have Danielle Hall, who's running for Congress. Here is Lisa, we mentioned, running for the US Senate, and then also Dr. Michael Katz, who is running for.
He was my neighbor for 12 years, right? We never met. 12 years. Like he was
borrow further.
He was behind my house, his house was, but the driveways were from different roads. But almost 12 years, never saw each other. This country can be really weird in some ways. Like
Got the block party next time.
yeah, I wonder if he knows that actually. So, but we'll ask him when he joins us.
Yeah. So those are all scheduled for January and the first half of February.
And then everyone who's running before the primaries, we are still going to bring them back into the show, and they will be our guest. But one of the really interesting one is, I think it's already out, which is kind of like I can understand why he did it, but our current governor, John Carney, is running for the mayor of Wilmington. So, of course, we'll be supporting him. But I was hoping that he would be running for the Senate. But I think he doesn't want to deal with all the traveling to DC, and kind of like he's also kind of really his commitment to Wilmington is a little bit more. But I think he's going to be our next mayor. So that means I'm going to be calling him for all the homeless people at the bus station. So directly. So because the other one, who's the current one, Mike, what's his last name? Korzewski. People can Google. He's also a neighbor of mine, but like there was a homeless guy lived in one of the bus stops, which we discussed in this show for almost 3 months. And it was kind of like only 2 blocks from his house. I don't know what he was thinking. So anyhow, there will be more upcoming people. So one of the other items that we want to discuss is a recent change in Pennsylvania for the animal shelters. As people who are following this show, they know I'm on the board of Brandywine Valley SPCA. And when I got this email, an update from our CEO, Adam Lamb, I was extremely disappointed. And Adam is going to be with us in the next probably in January, we'll bring him. But there's this bill, Senate Bill 746 in Pennsylvania that actually is making things a lot harder, a lot more difficult for those homeless animals in shelters, and mainly for the transportation of these animals. It's putting a 14-day clinically supervised isolation, which is going to make things almost impossible. Now, how stupid this bill is, and actually when I told you this yesterday, your reaction was kind of funny. Like if some dog is coming from Pennsylvania to Delaware, so they have to stay in the shelter for 14 days, and the answer is yes. So that is the craziest thing. Now, Brandywine SPCA, we have facilities in Delaware and Pennsylvania. So we can actually now, like if there's any availability, we can just move them around. This is a horrible bill. I don't know who came up with this, but definitely the worst thing that can happen for those animal shelters. Now, Brandywine Valley is a no-till shelter. We already have a lot more responsibilities and obligations. This is gonna make things a lot more difficult for everyone. So we are going to lobby for this. This is again in PA. We'll reach out to the governor and see what motivated them to make this stupid bill, and why they hate the animal shelters who are actually putting a lot of effort to help these these animals. So hopefully we can make an impact and then make some change, reverse this decision, or at least they can explain why. And if that's the requirement actually is putting a lot of financial and human resource pressure on these shelters, which they don't have those.
Yeah, it's making it more difficult than it really is. Yeah.
So, but Adam probably can explain this better than I, and I asked him to join us, so he will be with us sometime in January. So, well, this is our last episode for 2023. So, Sean, what is the New Year resolution for Sean Donovan?
New Year resolution. I could be cliche and say get back to the gym. That taking some time off, but rightfully so. Clifford demands a lot of attention. My new dog.
Well, he's the puppy. He's not a dog.
Yeah, he's allowed to. He has a lot of energy still, so understand.
Well, he'll help you with the exercise part.
Requires a lot of attention and walking. So
yeah,
I'm surprised. I think a big breed like that, they told me, unless he, I mean, I don't think he's a purebred, but St. Bernard, they say, 20 minutes exercise a day. Well, we're taking like 45-minute walks, multiple walks a day. He's not sleeping.
Well, he's young. He's only 18 months, right? 1.5 years.
Yeah.
Like he's less than 2. I mean, I had the same thing with Joshua, and he's, well, you're a lot younger than I am. So like for me, it's like he's very hyper. So I have to take, like, we have to walk at least like one shot, like 45 minutes. So then he's a little bit tired, but then I have to do that again in the afternoon. So
just get them.
But that's a really good thing, though. Like that's how we are going to be able to, walk more. And that's what I was telling people in, if you remember the last Bariatric Friday, I actually brought up Joshua and told people that they should get a puppy because this is the easiest way to kind of force you to. Yeah,
you gotta get up out of bed at 2 a.m. when he wakes you up.
Right. So now, if I were to ask you, what was your maybe favorite moment of this show in 2023, if you remember?
Yeah, let's see. Well, I think when you mentioned you're gonna get a little Cybertruck, that was exciting. You have that on record. He said it. Go back to the tapes.
All right. So
good. I mean, I think just the show as a whole, being able to have different people come on each time and you have different perspectives, different topics that maybe you focus on. You never know what's going to happen each time. So just having that element in itself is like.
Who was your favorite guest?
My favorite guest in the company or outside?
No, in the show.
I'm saying like we've had.
Yeah, from the ones like from the political, yes. So I didn't tell him all these, so he didn't know they were coming.
I like Coyote one. That's a good one. I do like bubbly personality. So.
He actually he has a really good.
Also, I like some of the wellness webinars that we did. I was on one of those around. I guess it was for Thanksgiving at the holiday eating with Karen and Don. So I was able to put in a bunch of my food jokes.
Actually, when you have to pay attention to those, they're very useful.
There's a lot of it.
So every time I drive the PowerPoint, I have to pay more attention. So then I learn more.
What about you? Let's reverse it. Who's your favorite guest?
I think Sarah McBride. So Sarah is probably because she's been with us for 4 times now. Now, I'm the co-chair of Bethany's finance committee, so I don't want her to hear this and then take it in the wrong way. But Sarah is in a different. Her journey is different, and the way that she's. I think the energy that I get from her is probably making it more special. So okay, I'll give you a reason maybe. So. Because I'm on the board of the SPC, the Brandywine, and then I was on the advisory board. So I was on the transition from one board to the other. And And I just called her a couple of weeks ago and I asked her if she would be willing to fill my position on the advisor board. Didn't even think, like for 10 seconds, she didn't, like, she would put me in. So
Yeah.
I don't know if she has animals or not, like nothing. Like I asked her and then her answer was absolutely. So, and then she followed up and now she's going to be on the advisor board of Brandywine SPCA. And also the conversation, I like going back, someone who's from a different generation, different difficulties, challenges in life, and how she put herself all together. And then right now she's running one of the really most powerful positions, not in Delaware, but in this country. So, and there will be a lot more with her in the future. But I think she was maybe, well, if I have to pick one, yes. But then, all the other people, they were also very nice. So I usually enjoy the conversation. Don't ask me who was the least favorite because I may actually answer that. So don't ask it.
What was your second?
So we actually took it off from the list. You may remember now.
Recall. I do recall.
Yeah. So well, the new year is 2 days from now. We did a lot. I know United Medical, ACO, our employees, our physicians, our providers. We have done a lot. Being number one Medicare ACO in the state of Delaware and being number 17 in the nation brings us a lot of more responsibility, and we want to actually do better in 2023 once we get the reports for 2023 program year and for the future as well. We have an amazing structure for the work that we do, and we want to be able to put more on this foundation. And I know that we have the right people all together to make it even better for 2024. And 2024 is going to be a very interesting year. There will be maybe some difficulties, more challenges with everything that's happening in the world, and we'll make sure that we cover these from our independent view, and hopefully we can actually touch more lives and give good updates for people. This is also included in our Bariatric Friday, which is one of my favorite events, just because being able to spend 30 to 40 minutes with Dr. Ergao on that, he's as one of the most expertise person in his specialty, having that time and the way that he also explains certain things. I know a lot of people, a lot of patients are benefiting from listening those. So we do want to make those events with the survey, options. We are going to make them more dynamic and more engaging, and hopefully it's going to be a beautiful year. So until next year, stay safe. Well, Happy New Year, and we'll see you soon.
Right.